Thanks everybody. Thanks, appreciate you guys for being here. Just wanted to give a quick little demonstration about how you can harvest your baby little moringa tree that just came back from a frost. So we just had a frost like 3-4 weeks ago. All of this growth is brand new. This is a tree or a cutting that I planted not even a year ago. It was 6 foot tall when I put it in the ground. We're standing on 2 feet of mulch that I then, what do they call that? Amended the soil with composted soil and biochar and all kinds of things just to kind of put it in here to make it really nutrient. The first thing that you want to do when coming to your tree is start from like the low end and work your way up. So we're just going to start grabbing low greens, and I'm just kind of starting here as a way to harvest these greens. You don't want them to go to waste. They're just going to turn yellow if you just let them sit on the tree. Just remember, you're like a rhinoceros or like a giraffe. You know, you're coming by and you're eating this nutrient-rich plant that is providing you with all these greens. But also you're going to start creating more space for these stems to start getting bigger. Look at this.
That's amazing.
Beautiful little harvest that we have here. So we'll just keep going. We've got a few minutes where we can just kind of get this tree harvested and get some of these brought back. And I also want to show you the technique that I developed in making these trees even more bushy, so that way you can produce even more greens from this tree. Because either you could let it go, you don't have to touch it. You know, you could let this go, you could let it stretch, but the more you let it stretch, the more greens that are going to just fall off and yellow, and you're not going to be able to just get this bountiful harvest. But we're here to utilize these greens at the farmer's market. You know, we want to be able to harvest these greens so that way we can share them at the market, maybe on your market booth table, something like this. Look at this. You're starting to see this cutting in here that I planted about a year ago, and she's starting to come back from a frost. She was already 6 foot tall, and I cut her back like in January all the way down really low, so that way she didn't really get affected so much by the cold weather. And sure enough, I just knew, just being patient, that she'd come back. Hey, Gandhi. Gandhi's here, our farm kitty. He's so beautiful and helpful. He loves when people show up and help us out. So let's see, I'm starting to see like there's lots of stems in here. We may not want to keep every single stem, so I might just pull a few of these stems out. Like this is a main stem, and this is a branch coming off of the stem. Right? So you got your main stem and you've got your branches. And so we can even set that aside. Possibly if it has wood on it, we could actually regrow this and it grows into a whole new tree. Yep, so we'll just keep going here. But what I like to do is I like to clear out the center. The center of this tree needs to have more space. So I'm just also going to pull out a few more of these stems from the base. That way she gets a little bit more space. I like having the center open so that way the sun can go in. It can get dried out very easily. I'm also trying to build these trees up to be able to produce lots of drumsticks. This is going to be my drumstick plantation out here, so that way we can get lots of seeds, so that way we can make oil and all those things. So we're just going to grab a few of these stems. Some of them are just like really close into each other. We want to just space them out. Some of them have like 2 like right on them. I'm going to go ahead and just pull some of the ones off here that don't look like they're necessarily like if you have 2 that are really close together, one is going to end up being the dominant one, and one is actually going to sacrifice itself and give that energy back to the main one anyways. So before they get lost in that way, might as well harvest it. This one even has a little bit of a root system on it. We might be able to stick that right into the ground, and it grows a whole new tree by itself. So we're going to go ahead and just pull off some of these that are just kind of like sucking off. We call them suckers. And just making some more room. And we're also grabbing these beautiful greens. Now the next step of this harvest is going to be popping the tops. This is a crucial part in making sure that your tree ends up starting to split from here. So we've got a little bit of space here. Starting to get a little bit more. I might keep one, you know, in the middle here, maybe 2, having a couple come off to the side, and eventually maybe in a month from now, I might pull a few more stems off. But for right now, what I want this to do is to start bush out even more. These 2 are coming out of the same one, and this one are fine, but I'm gonna take this one off that's kind of like in the middle. So we'll go ahead and just kind of break this one off. This one might even have to come off too, but we can replant these, not to worry. This one will become a main one. This one will have more room now, and it might spread over here a little bit more. We're giving them all a little bit of space. I don't know, like I like this one is small. This one's like really solid, but like I said, at first, you can just get it to this point where they all have their own room. Then after you pop the tops, and this is what we're gonna do now, is the next step is popping the top. And that's what's going to start allowing it to split from there. Instead of just stretching and growing taller, it's gonna stop, it's gonna put the energy back down onto the root, and it's gonna come back up with all new shoots out of here, and it's gonna create a whole nother bushy tree. And you don't always have to take every green, you can just pop the very, very tip and leave some solar panels for it to reproduce and come back and get some energy. So we'll just pop some of these tops off here, but just popping that very, very tip off, that allows it to stop growing up, energy goes back down, and it builds the root system up a little bit more, and it comes back up with even more vigor, with more juice, with more branches to even produce even more greens. Because right now, in this phase of the tree, we want greens. We want lots of greens, but once it gets bigger, say towards the end of the season, when it has flowers, that's when we'll want drumsticks. So it's like different times of the year, we have different methods of harvesting, and we'll just pop off all these tops, so that way when we come back in like 2 to 3 weeks from now, it'll have just as many greens on this tree to be able to reproduce and provide us with even more product.
Would you try to restart those?
Some of them I would. I can stick them in a pot. I can stick them directly in the ground. If some of these died, I can replace any of these out here in the field with those branches. I can even make a hedge where they're really tight and close together, so that way you can create like a living fence.
What about the tops?
The very tops, that's much more of like a microgreen premium product that you can package, which I'm going to show everybody how to then package your fresh greens, so that way you can sell them at the farmer's market. So all these tops are popped, boom, boom, boom. They have a little bit of space. Every single one of them has a little bit of greens on it. I really like that. And that's pretty much the ideal harvest, essentially right after coming from a frost. How to care for your tree. Give it some air, give it some sun, because now the rains are going to start coming. If it starts getting too wet down in here, then your leaves are going to start turning yellow, and it might end up rotting out the roots. And so care for this tree the best you can by just giving it a little love. And also now you've got some greens for your omelets, for your smoothies, for your pestos and sauces, and also for your farmer's market table now to then take it to the farmer's market. And I'll show you how to do that now. So thanks for joining us, and I'll see you soon.